On the line, Jeff Plate from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Good afternoon, Jeff.
Good afternoon, Jenny.
And it's great to have you back on the show. Now, this is the 20th anniversary of you guys on tour. What does that feel like to have 2,000 shows now under your belt?
Well, it's incredible because I can remember the first show like it was yesterday.
Right.
And we honestly were terrified when we walked onto that stage. But to think that this has become what it's become and lasted as long as it's lasted with no end in sight. It's just been a remarkable journey and, a great testament to Paul O'Neill and what he created many, many years ago. This was just an idea kicking around in his head at one point, and he made it work. He put it on the stage, and he kept to it. He just would not give up. So here we are 20 years later, and things look very good for TSO.
Now, it's very cool. You've been with the group since the beginning. I mean, even back to the Sabotage days. So you have been there. You've seen this thing evolve and just get bigger and better. I mean, I saw the show last year when you guys were at Little Caesars Arena. It's just amazing, the stage production that's involved with that. And Paul is just all about trying to find the newest thing, the latest thing. And you guys just keep that going.
Every year, that was his mission. He wanted to add more. He wanted to do more. And, he had some people around him trying to rein him in once in a while. But he really wanted to just put the best show possible on the stage that would accompany this music and these lyrics, these stories that he created. And, he spared no expense. And for the first few years we tried to do this, it was, you could see some promise. You saw some light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. But Paul just dedicated everything he had to this and kept the thing going until it finally broke. Probably about 2006 is when it really became successful. And, to maintain that level of success and to keep the quality of the show up is no easy task either. But Paul did not rest until everything was as good as it could be.
And that's the thing, trying to outdo what you've done in the past. Let me ask you, being somebody who's been right at the center of this thing, I mean, I'm literally keeping everything on time. Is there a pressure to do better? I mean, obviously there's that, but do you think to yourself, boy, this isn't quite as big as we wanted this year? I mean, you're always challenging yourself. Does it ever scare you that you haven't quite done it enough, or do you guys usually just come through with something that blows even your mind in the end?
Well, honestly, it's the latter. A lot of people ask me all the time, well, what's the surprise and what's this and what's that? I really don't know until I get to rehearsal and see this stage when it's fully set up and fully running. It's not till then do I see really what the production is doing. Last year was one of those years when I walked into the arena and went, wow, holy cow, this is amazing. But, you've seen our shows before. A lot of people have seen our shows. We tour every year, which is something a lot of bands don't do. We tour during the holiday season, which is, it can be financially kind of a tough time of the year for people. If those folks are going to come and see us and support us every year, we're going to try to give them the best show possible and a different show possible. So this was really a mission, of Paul's and the management team is keep the show fresh, even for the people who have seen it for 10 years in a row, whatever. It's got to be different to keep them coming back. But I go see a lot of live shows, and honestly, the TSO show is a very unique animal. But we're right there with the best of them, and I think most people would agree with that.
I absolutely would agree with that. So here's something I have to ask. Your show at Little Caesars Arena this past December was my first time actually being at Little Caesars Arena, as it's taken over now, as you know, for the Palace. It's much more up to date, modern, high tech. So when you set up a show at an arena like that, is it different than setting up at an arena that's been around for a while, something like the Palace or even older?
Yeah, I think maybe it's more of what's backstage than the actual stage itself. A lot of the older arenas, I mean, they're just that. They're older arenas. The furnishings and the accommodations may be a little outdated, but the new facilities are very nice. They're very comfortable. It's pretty much everything is modern and up to date and all that. But for me personally, it's just about the people that come. And once the stage is set up and once we're ready to go, that's really all the focus is just making sure that we put on the best show possible. I think in some respects this probably reflects a little bit more on the crew because the newer arenas have more loading docks, and it's a little bit easier to move a show of our size in and out of an arena. Where some of the older buildings, the loading docks are limited, or they may be small, and it can be kind of difficult to move a show that's the size of ours in and out of a place. But for the most part, I think everybody in my band agrees. It's just once that stage is set up, we got a job to do, and we go out there and do everything we can to turn the audience on.
Now, real quick, how many trucks does it? Because, like I said, when you see everything that you guys bring to a show, the stage setup is phenomenal. It's so involving. I mean, it reaches out to you in the crowd. How many trucks does it take to move Trans-Siberian Orchestra from show to show?
20 tractor trailers.
Oh my God!
That's what we roll into town with, and about a dozen buses. Yes, it's quite a fleet that has to move this thing around. And, from my perspective, I've been able to sit in the middle of this stage since the first show and watch it grow above me, to the left, to the right, behind me, in front of me. It's just remarkable what this has become. And some of the most, the times that really get me are walking onto the stage, because we're going up a couple flights of stairs just to get to my riser. It's like, oh my God, look at what has happened. Just thinking of the very first theater tour that we did, there wasn't much of anything on the stage, and now it fills the arena up, the whole width of the arena, and as you mentioned, it reaches out all the way to the back end of the arena in front of us. So, here again, this is something that Paul wanted to. He wanted to bring the show to the people, and if you were sitting in the back, you wanted to make sure you had a great experience, just like the people sitting up front, and that's what we set out to do, and to his credit, we've accomplished that.
Now, I got to ask you, because I'm a drummer at heart. I couldn't tell you the name of a cymbal to save my life, but put me in front of him. I'm sure I could have some fun. So I'm watching you, and I just see you with the smile on your face every now and then as you're really getting into it. Now, from your point of view, from a technical standpoint, like with all of this video going on around you, do you have to keep up with that? Does it keep up with you? How does that work? I mean, obviously you practice enough and you time it out, but do you sometimes find that it's a little bit behind or a little forward and you got to play a little faster? How does that work?
No, I mean, in these modern times, there's a lot of stuff that's actually synced up, between myself and the production. And this is a big part of what we do when we rehearse is really getting the lighting, the video, all the cues have to be in sync with the band, and vice versa. Now, a lot of what you see is manually operated.
Oh, awesome!
Our light technician Brian Hartley does a good part of the show running the lights on his own, but there's also some stuff that's computer driven, and that has to be there's a timing that goes along with that we have to rehearse with and make sure this all just hits at the right time with the right breaks, the right scenes, so on and so forth. It's no easy task. I mean, there's a whole army of people that put this show together and make sure this works in sync. And I'll tell you, for everything that's going on the stage, 99.9% of the times, it all works perfectly as it should, as we rehearsed it. And a huge testament to our crew. These guys are, professionals and some of the best of the best.
It was flawless. I mean, Jeff, I got to tell you, it was flawless. Every time you hit that drum, that light went off, and it was just amazing. So now, as opposed to, like you said, when things started off, it was a much different setup. Now you find yourself going up and down throughout the show. Is it weird when that is going on? I mean, how obvious is it that you're moving?
It's actually a fairly smooth ride, but I'll be honest with you, it took me a few trips up and down there to get used to that. It's a little bit different than just sitting down there at seat level on the stage, but when you see it happening, and I have the luxury of watching our counterparts, the West Coast touring group. We get to watch them do their performances, and when you see what it actually looks like from the audience perspective, you're like, oh my God, that just looks awesome. So you gotta roll with it. Every once in a while there's something that you gotta kind of grin and bear it, but for the most part, it's all for the good of the show. And that in particular, the drum riser that was moving up and down with the marquee, that was something different it for the show last year, and I thought it was fantastic.
What was it like the first time? Did it was like, whoa, or was it, I mean, for example, I love carnival rides, so I probably would have loved it. Are you cool with carnival rides, heights? Was this kind of like something fun to be doing in addition to playing drums? Now you're also on a ride?
Well, yeah, heights are really not my favorite, to be honest.
Oh, really?
But what you do it a few times, you get used to it, and it doesn't last very long. It's a lot of people ask me about the fire and the pyro that's on the show, and yes, it is fairly close to me. But I've done this so many times that I'm used to it. I know exactly when it's going to happen. I know that there's crew guys keeping an eye on everything that happens on that stage, so I'm in good hands. But every once in a while, you get a little knot in your stomach, and just. Hey, it's over in a few seconds, so it's all good.
Wow. So what is your favorite song to perform?
I am asked this a lot, and honestly, it's Christmas Eve, Sarajevo, 1224.
Awesome.
And, I that is the song that drove this whole project. That song is the reason why we're here. And I kind of figured last year, just on a whim, I tried to add it up. I think I played that song like 1,700 times. But when we play that song, the audience just lights up. People get on their feet. It is extremely powerful. Everybody recognizes the melodies, and the production that goes along with that song is just out of this world. It's great. So, for me, that's here again. Even though I played that song so many times, and, over and over, but just watching the people respond to it, that's what makes it my favorite.
That's got to be just amazing. And like I said, coming from a radio background, I like to do the theater of the mind thing. So when I walked in to Little Caesars Arena last year, I knew it was going to be awesome, but I didn't think it was going to be quite that awesome. So for you to see a song that you love like that from a visual point of view just get better and better and better. I mean, that's got to feel pretty satisfying in the end as well, huh?
Absolutely. And, as I mentioned, we get to watch our counterparts rehearse. And when you see these certain segments of the show that really, where the production really, the production shines, let's say, it blows you away. It makes you very proud to be up there performing and being a part of such a thing. But also, it's a testament to Paul, his dedication to this whole thing. He spared no expense. He would be happy if we had 40 tractor trailers full of lights and sound. He would want more. But this is the reason why people come to see us every year. And this is the reason why the people that see us for the first time come back and bring people with them. So it's, 20 years into this, and there really is no end in sight. So it's a tribute to all that.
I could ask you questions all day. I haven't even got to the stuff I'm supposed to talk about. Obviously, the Ghost of Christmas Eve, the rock opera. It's going to be at Little Caesars Arena for 2 shows, 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. coming up on December the 29th. It's all presented by Hallmark Channel, Trans-Siberian. But what I love about this is all the charity work that you guys do. More than $15,000 to worthy charities throughout North America. So not only at the end of the day are you pleasing the fans, but you're doing so much good. I mean, come on, Jeff Plate, that doesn't get much better, does it?
No, this was something that Paul started from the very first ticket that we sold. And, his philosophy with this was that the audience, the community is coming out and supporting us. It's the least we can do to give something back. The people that come to see our shows are actually they're a part of the charity also. So it's a feel good situation, from both perspectives. But we also realize how fortunate we are to do what we do. We're all really in a pretty good place. So there's a lot of people who aren't, and the holidays come around, and for some people it's not nearly as festive as it could be, and it can be tough, but this is just a little bit to help some people get through a rough time. And, here again, it's the right thing to do. So we feel very proud of that, and we'll continue to do it.
In today's day and age, you just can't hear that enough. The right thing to do. I love that. The 20th anniversary edition of your 1998 album, The Christmas Attic, is going to be out on CD, also digitally on September 28th. But how about this? Vinyl on November 23rd. How cool is that to be on vinyl in 2018?
That's nice. That's awesome. And I think there's going to be a bonus track or 2 on that also. So, this will be a nice gift for the fans.
Hey, I look forward to seeing you at the show at Little Caesars Arena. Jeff Plate, thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and enjoy what's left of summer, okay?
You got it, buddy. Take care.